Welcome everybody. In this video I'm going to be showing you guys a couple different ways you can kind of humanize your drums, because I see a lot of people that make beats using FL Studio, and it's very easy to just kind of program and click in your drums through the sequencer. And a lot of times this can sound kind of robotic because it makes everything is on the grid. If you just click everything in like here, that means everything is completely snapped to the grid, perfectly on beat, and it kind of just sounds robotic. It doesn't really have as much of a human feel to it. So I'm going to give kind of an example of exactly what I mean by this. So by just clicking in, all of these sounds, like it sounds cool and it's a cool little groove, but it just doesn't have as much of a human element to it. So there's a few different ways we can go about kind of fixing or correcting this. One thing I really like to do is use something called FPC. Now this is basically a plugin. I think it comes free with FL Studio, and I come up here, presets, and click empty, and this is essentially where you can basically play your drums as if you're using like an MPC pad, for example. So this is my kick drum, and now if you click this little keyboard icon, make sure it's illuminated. If you play your keyboard now, certain notes, like I'm playing the S note and the D note on my computer keyboard, as you can see, these notes are being played. So what we can do is actually drag our kick drum. So now when I hit my computer keyboard, it's actually triggering that sample. So we can do this and then now we can actually play our samples. And this is cool because we can actually layer sounds directly on here as well. So I'm going to find this, and you basically just drag and and if we wanted to add in that shaker sound as well, we can do that. So high shaker 2, and these keys correlate to. So this is actually the G note on my computer keyboard. So basically, now we can actually mute all of these other tracks that we had before. Now I'm going to actually record something to the metronome, and I'm going to be playing it live with my computer keyboard. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You can, play it very sloppily, and then we're actually going to adjust it after recording it. So let's just do this as a rough draft. Okay, so that was very kind of sloppy, but we're going to actually adjust it here. So now when we click that, we have all of our notes right here. And as you can see though, now everything is not exactly on the grid, and that's exactly what we're looking for to humanize our drum sounds. So okay, right there, I kind of messed up. So I'm actually going to drag this a little bit closer, and I'm going to change this to our snare sound. And then this kick drum comes in a little too early. And then again, just can move some notes a little bit closer. Cool, and then we can delete the rest because we're just making a little 4-bar loop. So let's play this again. And so we can actually come in here now and add in some more shaker sounds and make them kind of off the grid. And now make sure when you're drawing in notes, you don't want to click it exactly to the grid. You want to move it either a little bit late, a little bit early, just to kind of give it that more human-like feel to it. So I'm going to delete that one. And so it's the same kind of pattern, so I'm going to delete one of these. And now we can actually highlight all of these by clicking and holding Command and selecting. And now we can adjust the velocity for some of these to give it more human. I'm gonna adjust this note. I don't really like how that lands. And now we got that little groove going. Now we can start to click in some other notes to give it more of an on-beat feel. So I'm just gonna actually delete all these because we don't need those. And I'm actually gonna highlight all of these, drag them slightly a little bit late. And now up here, if you see this little lever right here, if you look on this top left screen, it actually says swing. So this is going to make everything a little bit slightly offbeat as well and add a little bit more groove to it. Okay, so that's one way about doing it. And then I'm going to show another thing using just like a regular trap hi-hat. You know, what I see a lot, people just go right click, fill 2 steps, which is cool. And then a tool I like to do is right click piano roll, highlight everything. And now if we come up to this little wrench tool and we choose quantize, and a lot of people don't see this, so there's a little drop down, and these are many different presets which actually quantize and slightly move your notes so it has a little bit more of a groove to it. So we can choose like groovy 60s, for example, and if you look, the velocity is all being changed. You can adjust the sensitivity. Let's choose a different one. Let's choose drummer swing. And now if you click accept, now when you zoom in, some of these notes, as you can see, are a little bit off the grid, which gives it more of that human feel. I'm going to change that sample to a different hi-hat though. And sometimes it might not always work. Sometimes you might have to pick a different quantize setting. So you can choose like MPC, for example. That one sounds a little better. And now let's say if you wanted to add in like an 808 note, like a bass line basically. Let's say you just wanted like crazy 808. What I like to do is actually copy my kick sample by pressing Command C. Then you come back up to our 808, Command V. Now that way, our bass note is hitting at the exact same time that our kick drum is hitting. Let's say you didn't want every bass note to hit, so let's say every 4 beats we have a bass drum hitting. Maybe you don't want the bass. Maybe you just like kind of a more acoustic feel to your drums. But that's basically a couple different ways I approach it. And you know, just the whole key with humanizing drums is that it's supposed to sound human-like. So not everything is gonna be perfect, you know, because we're humans, we're not robots, obviously. So make sure you just go in there, you move some of these notes around so they're not on grid. And if you can, I prefer to play it because that's gonna really give you the best human feel to it. So hopefully you learned a couple of things, and thank you for watching.